Okay, in this video tutorial, we're going to explore 3 different techniques for subtracting integers. We're going to start with one that's pretty straightforward that I know you know the answer to, which is 10 minus 6. But we're going to use this one to establish our 3 different methods. Our first method is using a number line again. And we're going to start by just having an arrow that is equal to each of the different integers. So I have a green arrow that represents the number 10. It's 10 units to the right. And I have an arrow that represents 6, which goes 6 units to the right as well. And just to kind of show that, I'm going to sort of use a highlighter here to show that there's the 10 and there is the 6. Now, if this were a regular addition problem, I would, go 10 steps to the right as indicated by the number 10, and then I would also go 6 more steps to the right as indicated by the pink arrow. But subtraction is the opposite of addition. So instead of going 6 additional steps to the right, I'm going to do the opposite of that, which is 6 additional steps to the left. Our initial arrow tells us we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 steps to the right as indicated by the positive 10. And now because we are subtracting, we're going to do the opposite of positive 6, which is in this case going 6 steps to the left. And you can see by the mark of the highlighter that our final answer is positive 4, which of course you already knew from the beginning. We can also use tiles to show the same thing, and in this case I'm just going to draw them out. I'm going to use black dots for positives, and I'm going to use red dots for negatives. So in this case, my first integer is a positive 10, so I'm going to draw 10 dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And remember, if you think about what subtraction means to take away. So I'm going to take away 6 of the positive dots, and I'm just going to erase them. So there's 1 gone, 2 gone, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I've taken away 6, and then whatever is left over behind is my final answer, which in this case is, once again, 4 positive or positive 4 tiles. The final technique here is to add the opposite, and this is one that we will make use of more readily. So we'll start with our original problem, 10 minus 6. When adding the opposite, the first integer stays the same, so it still stays at 10. And instead of subtracting, we are going to add. That's the opposite of subtraction. And to balance that out, we are going to use the opposite of positive 6, which is negative 6. So 10 plus negative 6, if we use our adding rules, is positive 4. So 3 different techniques to show that 10 minus 6 is equal to 4. The second example here is 3 minus 8, and we'll go through the same process again. Here's my arrow that represents the number 3. It's 3 units to the right, and my arrow that represents 8. It is also 8 units to the right. And let's just quickly sort of color those in. Here's our positive 3 in purple and our positive 8 in orange. So once again, if this were addition, we would start by going 3 steps to the right, and then we would go 8 more steps to the right. But because this is subtraction, we will do the opposite of 8 to the right, which is 8 to the left. And we can see by the placement of our arrow that it is at negative 5. So this leads us to believe that 3 minus 8 is equal to negative 5. We can use tiles again to do the same thing, positive tiles and negative tiles. And I'll just quickly draw my 3 positive tiles. 1, 2, 3. Now here's where we run into a little bit of a problem, which is how do I take 8 positive tiles away from this picture of only 3 positive tiles? So to do this, we need to somehow bring in some extra positive tiles that we can take away without changing the value of our, without changing the initial value of our tiles. So to do this, we are going to use 0 pairs. So if I bring in a positive and a negative together, that 0 pair effectively cancels out. So it's still an overall value of positive 3. If I bring in another 0 pair, still positive 3, another 0 pair, still positive 3, and I can bring in a couple more 0 pairs, and still the value is positive 3, because as you can see, these 0 pairs, right, or these pairs of opposites, still have a value of 0, so our overall value is still going to be 3. Now once again, following by our meaning of subtraction, I'm going to take away 8 tiles, 8 positive tiles. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 positive tiles gone, leaving me with a grand total, if I count the remaining tiles, a grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negative tiles. Our final technique is to add the opposite, so 3 minus 8. Remember, the first integer stays the same, the second integer changes to addition, and the third integer switches to its opposite, which in this case is negative 8. 3 plus negative 8 is negative 5. Our final example here, we'll go through the same 3 techniques. I'll start with an arrow that is negative 6, right? So 6 units to the left, and then one that is negative 8, 8 units to the left. And I'll quickly color those in. So here's my negative 6 and my negative 8. So once again, because this is, if this were addition, I would go 6 units to the left and then another 8 units to the left. But it's not, it's subtraction, which is the opposite, so I will go 8 units to the right. And you can see, as in the previous 2 examples, that the arrow ends at positive 2, which tells us that negative 6 minus negative 8 is positive 2. Let's use our other 2 techniques to confirm this. So once again, positives are black, negatives are red. In this case, I have negative 6. So 6 reds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I still run into the same problem that I can't take away 8 negative tokens because I only have 6 here. So I have to bring in some 0 pairs so I can get to that right amount. So I'm just going to bring in 4 0 pairs. 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives, and 1, 2, 3, 4 positives. Notice that it doesn't really matter how many 0 pairs I bring in, just as long as I have enough negative tokens to take away. So let's just quickly identify those 0 pairs with our highlighter. 1, 2, 3, 4 0 pairs, and so I still have a value of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 negatives. I'm going to take away 8 of the negatives using my eraser. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've taken away 8 negatives. And notice that in this case here, because I added extra 0 pairs, I still have 2 0 pairs over here that effectively are not counting. But over here, I have 2 positive tiles left, so I know that my final answer is positive 2. The final technique, of course, is by adding the opposite. So we start with negative 6 minus negative 8. And in this case, I will keep my negative 6 the same. That subtraction sign turns into an addition sign, and the negative 8 turns into a positive 8. Negative 6 plus 8 is equal to 2. So there you have it, 3 different techniques using a number line, using tiles, and adding the opposite to be able to subtract 2 integer values.